on vacation, joining the fellas, ready to talk some ball.
He texted me and said, I will never miss the show unless I'm sick. And I'm like,
loyalty.
I said, Doc, you're on vacation. He said, I'm not missing the show for anything.
Which, by the way, check Doc out. They have a YouTube channel now. Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. I mean, obviously the articles are crushing, but now their content's crushing. Christian's doing a really good job. They had Vito on without Doc. So, they're getting busy over there at Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. But let's bring in our good friend, joins us every single Wednesday, publisher, Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated. He doesn't need an intro, but it's the Doc. What's going on, Doc? How are you doing?
Fellas, live from Orlando. I'm living life, man. The sun's out, guns out. I'm enjoying vacation. The nephews, the kids running all over the place. They're just like running all over the place. I'm like, hey, you give them a simple instruction, they can't follow it. So if you see a 15-year-old flexing in the camera, I apologize. He's trying to get on. I'm like, hey, I'm with the fellas. You can't flex on this camera, but I needed it, man. The sun. I hear it's 40 degrees back in Michigan. I need the sun. Yeah. I need a spring break. But here we go. Let's talk some ball. What's going on?
All right, real quick. Are you you're in Orlando? Are you like Disney, Universal? What's going on over there?
Yeah, no, I did Disney last year, so we're just hanging out. Got a place to hang out for a week just to enjoy the sun. That's all we need, man. Just to get a little bit of vitamin D and get out of Michigan for a week, and we'll be back Sunday. But it felt like this year, as you get older, the cold weather, the work schedule, you need to get out of town. I needed to get out of town for a week, and this is great. We like Orlando. I did Disney last year, but this week is just chilling, just relaxing.
Yeah. I mean, Doc, you say vacation, but you know what? The guy's still talking ball. I respect about Doc, and he loves it. Absolutely loves it. Doc, I want to ask you, because I think this is we go to you on these things, all right? Because when the boys or the chat and the boys maybe have a disagreement, we go to the Doc to kind of settle it, the voice of reason. So let me ask, ESPN, they had their top 5 off seasons. And, how it was graded wasn't acquisitions, right? It's like everything going into it, because then you could just say Patriots or whoever spent the most money. The Lions were like 4th in terms of their offseason. And me and Booner were on the same page. Like, we think we understand the Lions are a great team. They're not going to spend all this money, and they're not going to be like the Patriots. They have guys they have to re-sign. We said the one thing that I think hinders that a little bit is still the question at edge, Davenport. Like, that's probably the one knock. And I think signing an edge would immediately bump them up to us. Like, it's only really one move we're asking for, besides the draft. We know the draft's coming. What do you make of the offseason? Where would you put them? And just how impressed have you been with this offseason and kind of in terms of the NFL as a whole?
Yeah, it was unique to start. This morning, I got to reading and seeing that ESPN ranked the offseason 4th. I wouldn't say it's that high, but I don't think it's that bad. Probably middle of the road, top 10, I would say. Look, it's just one of those deals where we all got to get used to it, right? The Lions are not really needing to make a big splash in free agency because they have a good football team. So it's going to be a lot of signing your own guys, filling some holes, and maybe when the time is right to make a splash. But I get it. I get where people will say, well, it's a good free agency, but not great. Christian and Vito did a video in my absence, and they kind of talked about, should Brad Holmes have been more aggressive? You could argue they could have been more aggressive to get 1 or 2 more players, but it's hard to argue against what Brad Holmes has done. I mean, he's successful. The football team's coming off of a 15-win year. It's just that one final piece we all think the Lions need, but I think it's a good free agency. You filled a hole at cornerback when Carlton Davis leaves. It's a free agency that is, best way to put it, it's professional. You have a good football team. You want to bring back a lot of your own guys. Would I have made a couple more strategic maneuvers at edge to get a more established player? Yes, I would have, but it's hard to argue when you have a deep draft class at edge that, hey, they can go find 1 or 2 to plug it in. So I would grade it a B+. An A would have been a splash, but it's good enough. It's good enough for this football team to at least compete because you still got a whole draft and a trade deadline to potentially to upgrade this football team.
Excuse me, Doc. I've had a cough for about 3 weeks now.
Stay off the weed. No.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I haven't gotten rid of this cough. It's like I'm not sick anymore. I just keep coughing. I need to go to the doctor for it. Doc, I do want to bring this up because we had a conversation with you actually about the edge in the rookie class, and you actually, and I'll give you a lot of credit for it. We all were pretty outside, and I've been saying it all show today. Like a lot of Lions fans seem to be a little blindsided or a little blinded by the actual offseason because a lot of these fans wanted the big splash. And I think you said it about a week ago, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but you had brought up, listen, like this team is established when they're healthy, they can bring in a rookie defensive lineman with how deep the class is and add that piece. Do you still believe that? Do you still think, hey, a rookie edge, and say the first round or the first 2 rounds can come in and actually make this defensive line to the level, the Super Bowl level that everyone is expecting them to be?
Yeah. Fellas, isn't that crazy? It's crazy to think we all believe the Lions will take a edge rusher at number 28. They may not. Fellas, they might not. They might not. The draft class is deep at that spot. So you could, I would not be shocked if they went offensive line, if they went safety. I was listening in, hanging out outside in the sun, listening into a former NFL GM on a conference call, and he loves Malachi Starks, the safety. He's like, you already have a position of strength. Why not continue to add good, talented players from the SEC? So they make a good argument that, look, the Lions are going to target the best player available. And look, all we can reference is what Brad Holmes says himself. He's like, we are not an organization that drafts for need. Well, you could make the argument last year they had a need at cornerback and they got 2 of them. And now you believe that we all believe they need an edge rusher. But I think they can get someone of value in later rounds. Would I prefer them to go out and get someone in the first round? Yeah, there's a lot of good ones that could have some impact. So, look, we're in the position where we can critique Brad Holmes, but he's earned the benefit of the doubt that if that scouting department and he targets a player they want to take in the first round, I believe that they're going to have some impact. I would like it to be an edge rusher, and I do think the guys that you're reading about, from Boston College, from Michigan, you have Shamar Stewart, you have a lot of edge rushers that could come in and as part of a unit. And that's what I've always tried to say, hey, Brad, I think you're kind of one player away. But when you talk to Calvin Shepard and the defensive coaches, they always say, look, a defensive line is not really made up of one player. It's a collective unit, and we want that unit to play together. And all we can hope is that whoever comes in to fill, whoever's there, if it's Davenport, if it's a young rookie by the time the playoffs roll around, that the unit working with Casey Rogers is going to grow and develop over the next 5 months, from the time the season starts in September until the postseason, that I do think whoever is slotted, because it's going to be an individual that they trust can be part of a collective defensive line. Whoever it's going to be, I think will have some level of impact to help this football team. Because listen, you guys know, by the time December and January hit, you're not a rookie anymore.
Well, Doc, I want to ask you more kind of about the draft itself, because you talked about the importance of that edge spot, which, by the way, I agree with you. I know people say he doesn't draft for need. I don't think he does for the most part, but I mean, he's going to take an edge, you know what I mean? Because then the argument back would say, well, people are like, wait till the draft. Well, I thought he's not taking players of need. So how do we even know he's going to take an edge? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I think he'll take an edge. But let me ask you, in the draft itself, we have, offensive linemen. We've had guards, tackles, centers. What positions, if you're kind of playing the part of Brad Holmes and on this offensive line, are you looking at maybe for him to potentially address in the draft? Or you think they're pretty much set at this point? Where are you at with the offensive line?
Yeah, no, the offensive line can definitely be bolstered. I think you're looking at, we've talked about it, a swing guard tackle combo, somebody that can be flexible, versatile to play along the offensive line. Look, you're going to have a decision in a couple years, maybe even as soon as 2026 about Taylor Decker. We've talked about what Giovanni Manu could potentially become. Do you decide to eventually switch Penei Sewell to the left side and stick Manu there? But I do think you need a guard, and that's where you see a lot of the talent there as well. I think you're going to see, it's funny because we do the mock drafts now, and you're going to start to see the beat writers catch up and do a little bit more. You'll start to see the, Ohio State linemen, the Texas offensive linemen, Oregon's linemen as well. You'll start to see some linemen get in the mix as well in their mock drafts. Right now, it's been a little bit edge heavy, defensive heavy, but I do think you need a young guard that can potentially come in and compete with Graham Glasgow. It's going to be the question mark. I can't wait for it's going to come up quick, where after the draft, we're going to get a chance to see rookie minicamp, and then we'll start to see OTAs. One of the things you're going to look for is, where's Graham Glasgow going to play? Do they switch Christian Mahogany to the left side and put Graham Glasgow back more natural to the right side? That might help, but you just need a young guard that can help against the run, be somebody that can develop in this offensive line. You got to retool it. And guys, you're hearing that whisper. Now, it's not loud, but you're hearing that whisper across the league that maybe they'll look at a center too, because, Frank Ragnow, while he's coming off of a great season, you just don't know how long he's going to want to grind dealing with all those injuries. Now, he had a decent year last year in 2024, but you're going to start to need to find his replacement as well. So it's one of those delicate balances, right? You have a good offensive line, but you need to continue to restock it and keep it a strength. And I just think the depth there is probably where the people in the chat, the supporters, and everybody would say, you could do a little bit better. You could upgrade the offensive line with a guard tackle, swing tackle that can do a lot of good things.
Jake Majors, remember the name, Doc, center.
Yeah, that's a Booner. That's a Booner guy.
Shut up. Go on. Ask the question.
I'm kidding. That was a Jeff. That was a Jeff guy. Originally drafted by Jeff Iafrate. I'll throw that out there. I want to throw this out, Doc, because we talked about it today, and Sam Laporta spoke with Kay Adams this week, and she had brought up John Morton, and he was like, hey, we'll see what happens here. Like, we're excited about it, but we'll see what happens. What are your thoughts now that we kind of know what John Morton's about? And I know we've had conversations with you, but it came up today on if we feel like John Morton can maintain this top 5 level offense with this Detroit Lions offense. And my side of it was, listen, you don't want to discredit what these players are, because the personnel that he has is the best in the NFL. You can make an argument it's number 1 in the NFL when it comes to O-line, the wide receivers, tight end, quarterback, running backs. Do you think that there's a chance there is I don't even want to – the wording on it is weird because we don't want to say regression, because that sounds like it's a big step back. But do you think it's like, hey, there's no chance they're not a top 5 offense again this season?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, right? People want to know, all right, when you have new coordinators, what's this football team going to look like? And I'm going to address that. But a great question was asked by John Lord. Am I allowed to gamble? Absolutely. You're looking at a guy's guy. First and foremost, as a psychologist, I grew up right around the time when Rounders came out. So I'm stellar at Texas Hold'em. I can play Pot Limit Omaha. I can play 7-card stud, Raz. I can play all the games.
My gosh.
But my specialty is Limit Hold'em, because you don't have to push all your chips in. I like the aspect. But yeah, I like to gamble it up. And are you kidding me? There's so much great advice with Booner's Bets, all the other guys around. There's great gambling podcasts. There's so much great advice. Hell yeah, I throw bets. And I have a healthy bankroll. I don't make big, huge bets all the time. I don't do parlays. I keep it straightforward. Money line bets, a couple of big bets a year on Michigan State crushing Oakland, a couple of bets that are going to just be easy bets, even though you got to make a higher wager. But yeah, I'm a straightforward, you have your lulls and stuff like that. But, there's so much free advice that you can go find it and indulge in it. Like, I drove here. So I listened to some gambling podcasts. I listened to some, there's so many. And now the ladies are getting into it too. I'm more prone to listen to some of the ladies give some gambling advice. Hell yeah. Kelly makes bets, or whatever her name is. She's great as well.
Kelly in Vegas?
Kelly in Vegas. Megan making bets. All of them.
Yeah.
I listen to them all. I find them all. For those,
but Doc, can you bet? That's fine, right? Like,
yes,
if you're recording the game, like
you could bet on the Lions.
Imagine you have like a money line bet. You're at the game. It's cool. It's all good.
No, I don't do it during the work hours. Never during work. I mean, okay, I have to focus. But let's just say, I've made some money betting against the Lions, knowing when they were a rough team. Of course, when they were a bad team, you knew some bets that you could make and handle business. So I'm not terribly upset with my gambling bankroll. I'm very happy. And also too, if you look me up, I've cashed in a couple poker tournaments. I like to gamble. It's not a bad thing to do if you do it reasonably and responsibly. There's no rules against it. I can't just and plus with the website, gambling sites are allowed to advertise with us and all that kind of stuff. So we've done it all with the big name books and all that kind of stuff. But as a general reminder, please gamble responsibly. And if you have a problem, somebody that can also help you cut off the gambling habit, because that is a big thing that's kind of spawned in Michigan is people have gambling addictions and doing some wild stuff because they don't know that, hey, most people lose. And it's just a bad thing all the way around.
Well, Doc, the problem is though, you're a psychiatrist. So, I mean,
listen, I'm a smart guy. And I read people, and also I'm a numbers guy. So I was always great at math and psychology. You do research, you're good at statistics. So I understand the numbers aspect of a lot of the betting. So, the hedging and all that nonsense you can get into to be able to kind of have a little bit of an advantage. So it's a fun opportunity to boost your bankroll if you do it responsibly. But back to the Lions. And listen, trust Booner. Booner gives out the Booner bets have I've always
very good.
I'm like, hey, Booner, thank you so much, man. Your bets have put some extra dollars in my bankroll as well. But yeah, the offense, getting back to the Lions, the offense, I think you can bet on this offense being a top 10 offense, no doubt about it. You look at it from the framework, John Morton helped construct this offense. So I would think that there's going to be some familiarity. There's no way that Jared Goff would approve this hire with Dan Campbell if there was not some familiarity and comfortableness that, hey, we're going to work together to make this. And just look at, literally, and I'm not saying this disparagingly, but Booner can put on the headset and be like, get it to Gibbs, get it to Amon-Ra, get it to Laporta, get it to Jamison Williams. Jared, what do you want here? Booner could run this into a top 5 offense. You would have to be, I think, really incompetent with the level of talent that they have. And we're all kidding, but you recognize that John Morton's been around the game quite a bit of time. And I would be shocked if this offense wasn't rolling, scoring a bunch of points. And it goes into some good content too, in that because of your guys' big support, I've been able to add writers as well. And I found a great one. And if you want to know down the road how I came to find him, it was great. I find my writers in the funniest ways. But Emmett Metavosky is unbelievably hardworking, smart, and he loves numbers. So he's been doing a couple of stat pieces that you can check out at Lions on SI. You can see the numbers offensively that the Lions were able to succeed in. That's up there now. And then tomorrow we'll look at some improvements the Lions can make offensively in regards to red zone, some penalties that they had, some things that they could do a little bit better. But this offense, guys, is going to dominate. And I think it's going to be a fun ride offensively.
Doc, what about I've seen a couple people. I actually seen content being made about this. Can you address this? Like, what is this Amik thing? Like, I have not. Have you seen anything? Because I have not. I don't know. Why would there be trade rumors about Amik Robertson?
Okay. Here's why.
Not heard that at all.
No, I have not heard that at all. But here's why you hear those whispers. All right, this is an interesting time for our content creators because there's a little bit of a lull. Next week is the owners' meetings, which is funny, and I'm not going to them. I decided to come to Florida early. I'm not staying.
There you go.
I wanted to get down here. I couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't wait till Sunday, Monday of next week with 40-degree weather. Here's what happens. People start to look at contracts, right? And they start to say, okay, Amik signed, I believe, a 2-year deal. And so now he's sitting on the final year of a deal, right? So it's not like, when you look at head coaches and you look at that lame duck status, Amik's not lame duck, but what they say is that he's going to be looking potentially to cash in on the success that he's had. So people will start to explore contracts and say, well, if he's on the final year of a deal, doesn't have any more guarantees, could he then be on the potential trade block? He's not officially on the trade block, but I would presume that teams would call about him. But I look at it like, okay, he's a player that's an asset. And you don't want to, after the year that the Lions just had with injuries and stuff like that, you got a cornerback making less than $10 million a year that is excelling well above his pay. So you're not going to trade him, but you're going to hear, okay, so just to listen, I never want to, like some people, I don't want to talk down to the audience, but let me just kind of explain it. And I will write them. Everybody writes it. That doesn't mean that when you hear a headline that goes, analyst suggests, or there's potential discussion, that's more in line with maybe someone's thinking that Amik could be available. Someone's throwing it out there, speculating. If there was an official report, you would see the word report in front. It would be, the headline would be report, Amik Robertson is on a trade block. You'd hear draft buzz. You'd read it on Lions on SI. I'm hearing from reliable people that Amik's on the trade block. He's not on the trade block. I would be shocked if a player of his caliber is out there. But you realize, okay, people use their wisdom and they start to read into things and they go, well, you got DJ Reed, you got, Terrion Arnold, you got Ennis Rakestraw. Then you potentially could, if you're going to want to draft for more assets, you could say, well, what's an asset you have? That's Amik Robertson. So those are just the stuff that you and I would do as we sit around the water cooler, hanging out, drinking some beers down here in Florida. You'd say, how could the Lions get better? Well, there's two players that you could trade. You could trade Hendon Hooker. You won't get much value. You might get a 5th-round pick. You might get a 2nd, 3rd rounder for Amik Robertson. But I would think that the Lions would be hard-pressed to want to trade a guy that's looking to be a number one. And that's just, Amik Robertson is the definition of a Detroit Lion. Gritty, tough, super nice and friendly, accessible. I would be shocked if he wasn't on this team. But yeah, the question mark is going to be how much you're going to pay him after this year if he's going to be a Lion. So it could be his last year in Detroit.
I like Amik Robertson. I think he's good depth. So I hope not, to be honest. Another player though on the defensive side of the ball, Doc, I want to throw out there. Aiden Hutchinson. We had the conversation, and I've seen a lot of people in our chat, some commenters on Twitter, kind of bring up the point, hey, I feel like Aiden Hutchinson's going to have, why aren't we talking enough about him taking a step back this year? I brought up yesterday, I don't think there's a step back with a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. Yes, that's a tough injury to come back, not to come back from, but it's a tough one, the recovery and everything. But we've seen Aiden Hutchinson in his career have major injuries and come back even stronger. How do you think that progression is going this offseason? Have you heard anything? And if so, what do you think he looks like, let's say, through the first 5 weeks of the NFL season?
Yeah, by all accounts, I think you're hearing that, he should be healthy and ready to go by the start of the year. The level of involvement that he might have in training camp, you'll pay attention to. But you figured that he said, when he appeared on the Taylor Lautner podcast, that he was nearing the end of the rehab phase and then he could just strength train. So I would expect, the first month of the season, like the Lions too, to be a little bit slow, just to kind of get into everything. I don't expect him to start off with 7.5 sacks in the first month of the season, but you want to just see, and for the Lions, the offseason program will be key. OTAs, training camp. You're going to want to see how he looks in those early months, but you want to take it easy too. It's a serious injury, but I expect him to be the Aiden Hutchinson of old in regards to the ability to pressure the quarterback. Now, the thing that will, need to develop probably will be his football stamina and his ability to grind through 60 minutes of action week in, week out. But, I do expect him to come in great shape. And I think that the way I would probably preview it now is, maybe start the year, the first month of the season, 2-3 sacks, and then the second and third quarter is where the sack total just jumps up. And because guess what? You realize that, all right, now when you're a offensive coordinator, you're going to scheme to double Aiden Hutchinson. You know that you're not going to let 97 ruin the game, so you're going to give some chips, some extra attention. Hey, you guys saw it. It's going to get some grabbage action. People are going to be he's going to get a lot of attention, and he's got to fight through it. But I think that too. Here's the best part. I think that Albert Breer did a mailbag for Sports Illustrated, and he said, "Look, everyone's asking, what's the parameters of a contract going to look like for Aiden? And, he said, look, there's advantages. If you do it now, you pay $40 million. If you don't do it, if you decide not to pay Aiden Hutchinson, you might end up paying $50 a year in 1 year with the market going up and people keep resetting it. So there's advantages to getting it done. I think he gets a nice, healthy contract done before the start of the year. He's rewarded, he's refreshed, and he's going to be one of the highest paid NFL players, non-quarterbacks. And I think he's going to start the year looking to say, hey, 2024 was a year that got cut short, but he's going to dominate in the second half of the 2025 season, in my opinion.
Well, Doc, you made an article, posted it. We actually talked about it before you joined, but a player that would outperform his contract, Levi Onwuzurike, who we're both excited for. And I think for Levi, the deal he got compared to a lot of defensive tackles getting signed in free agency, where just kind of explain that vocally now, your confidence in the contract he signed, because it is a steal amongst guys in free agency.
Yeah, I think all the writers in town, you guys and everybody would have projected, my goodness, that Levi would have secured at least $10 million just based on his potential. But it looked like the market for his services just wasn't there. So he ended up signing a 1-year deal, and you realize, oh my goodness, he's on a prove-it deal. So the value, the reason why people feel like he's going to outperform that contract is based on what others at his position can make for 6 to 8 sacks a year, maybe more, because he said his goal is to turn the pressures into more sacks. So you realize he's a player getting comfortable in his own game and now trusting his body. I would think there's a chance for 10 sacks. Maybe that's a ceiling for him this year, but one of the best contracts signed this offseason for the Lions was Levi Onwuzurike. It's a prove-it deal, 1 year, and many of us projected, Christian, myself, thought that he was probably going to be anywhere between 10 and 15 million a year. And you saw other contracts get signed, and you're like, that probably is going to price out the Lions with Levi. But I think people were a little bit reserved with his back injury, and now he's a Lion, and I think he's going to way outperform the value based on the number that they're paying him. So that's a good thing. That's how you win. That's how you win in the NFL, is when you have a lot of contracts that are value team friendly, and prove-it deals are great. And I think Levi Onwuzurike will have a chance to maybe even earn a long-term contract based on what he does this season.
I have to throw this out there, Jeff. I want to apologize in advance. The whole Hendon Hooker thing. Obviously, they bring in, I think it's Kyle Allen as the number 2, not as the number 2, but to compete for the second quarterback position with Hendon Hooker. We saw that, and then also you see the stuff last year at the end of the season, then bringing Teddy Bridgewater back to be the backup, and he's the one that steps in that playoff game. Both of those scenarios kind of steer all of us towards that direction of what's going on with Hendon Hooker. I know I want to caveat this too, Doc. I've been very vocal about every contending team should draft a quarterback every year at some point in their draft, whether it's 6th, 7th round. We've seen it with every contending team. But the way the Lions went about the Hendon Hooker thing, thinking that was going to be a development, and hey, this guy actually that was a little odd. Is this whole experiment with Hendon Hooker over after seeing the Kyle Allen and then now in as well as the Teddy Bridgewater stuff last season?
Yeah, it's nuanced, but I think it's never as bad as we all think it is, but it's never as good as others make it out to be. You know what I mean? Hendon Hooker's on thin ice with the Lions. It's pretty clear, right? You recognize that, and it's a good thing. Competition in the NFL, the Lions are always looking for competition. They don't guarantee jobs to nobody. And for Hendon Hooker, it's just another opportunity. The Lions also felt like, hey, we can get another someone with a little bit more experience in the room to help out as well, because Jake Fromm is also in the mix as well, but he doesn't have a lot of game experience. And so that's where, and guys, it's just common sense. NFL coaches like experience. And with an Allen, look, his contract doesn't dictate that he's a number 2, but at the same token, Hendon Hooker is a quarterback that his main purpose is to just learn, develop, understand the schemes. But yeah, clearly, what does it mean that, and let's look at the tea leaves. He was working with Tanner Engstrand, and the Jets didn't come pursue Hendon Hooker. What does that say? Tanner Engstrand was working with Hendon Hooker. Now he's the new offensive coordinator of the Jets. Isn't it a little bit unusual that he would go with Justin
If he was
Fields?
ready, they probably have an opportunity.
If he was ready, he would be a Jet. And if he was ready, others would scoop him up pretty fast. So I don't think he's ready. He's inexperienced. So he's a developmental quarterback. He's got it really, in a situation where Jared Goff's durable. His job is just to continue to learn and develop and grow and to be the best that he can be. But, this NFL scheme that the Lions were running, it was complicated. And Ben Johnson, the league doesn't wait for anybody to catch up. And for Hendon Hooker, 25, 26, if you're a competitor, if you're Hendon Hooker, the writing's on the wall. You are not going to see the field in Detroit unless Jared Goff gets hurt. And that's a long shot because of Jared Goff's durability, the way the offensive line is constructed. You should be asking for a trade. You should be like, look, I want my opportunity now. It's been 2 years. I want to go somewhere. But I don't think that an inexperienced cornerback is going to draw a hefty amount of value for the Lions based on where they drafted him. So guess what? It's one of those deals where he's the number 2. If you're one of those people that want to play Hendon Hooker, I feel bad for you because you don't know anything about football. He's a guy that is basically stamped for the Lions' number 2 job, but the Lions will always push for more experience in the room to help him, to help others, and also too, just in case something happens to, you can go through quarterbacks pretty quickly. If Jared Goff does have something happen to him, Hendon's there, you're always one play away, and coaches would like to have more experience in the room. And if the Lions thought that Kyle Allen was there, it's competition. So Hendon Hooker's job is not secure. But again, it's Detroit. This is Jared Goff's team. And I think in 2026, Jared Goff has a $69 million cap hit. You think Hendon Hooker has a shot in hell to see the field in Detroit? He's got no chance. So I would say you develop another year. And if you're Hendon Hooker, you look to start your career somewhere else in the next year or two. Take advantage of what you learned and move on.
And side note, Jay Hart asked, why was Dave Fipp chatting with CP3? Do you see that? What the hell is that connection? What is that?
That was interesting. That was for like an hour, they said.
Most of random conversation. Well, what is that?
Yeah, no, I would say that, look, Dave Fipp is a basketball fan. He's been around the block as well. So I would say potentially the connection maybe with Arizona or Phoenix, the connection, these coaches are fans of the NBA. They're fans of what's going on. So Dave Fipp is one of the most unique individuals that's out there. He could have a conversation with anybody. And you saw his son there. So you recognize too that maybe the son was a fan as well of good players in the NBA. So CP3, one of those deals where it's good to see a little bit of support. And you've always seen the Lions go out to Pistons games. You've always seen heavy support from Amon-Ra St. Brown and David Montgomery, and the Lions coaches go out there. You saw Aaron Glenn get out to a Pistons game as well. So I think that there's an opportunity for, these coaches are all fans too. They're all fans of the NBA and fans of good products. So it was cool. It was cool to see Corey get that photo and to see Dave Fipp conversate with a good player, because there's a lot of interesting things that I'm sure could have been revealed and discussed with a great basketball player and a great football coach.
Well, what are your thoughts on the new kickoff return?
You're right.
Brain. I want to ask you, because we had a breakout player discussion, and I had Christian Mahogany on my list. I think Christian Mahogany, they obviously are telling fans they like him. Fans know he's a good player. Small sample size, but he was solid against the Bears. What do you make of that take by me? Just this year, I think it'll be a breakout year for Mahogany. I don't think he'll be a Pro Bowler, but I think this year people will start to recognize this dude may have Pro Bowl potential, or I think we'll say he has Pro Bowl potential. What do you think about Mahogany this year? The Lions fully trust in him now.
Yeah, and then just like Terry and Arnold said, Dave Fipp is a man of the people, and that's just the best way to put it.
Make him the mayor.
Yeah, make him the mayor. It's one of those things with Mahogany that you see a player that, look, was groomed for the position, nasty offensive lineman. I think he's very bright, and I think that he's going to succeed. And you moved on from a veteran in Kevin Zeitler. So that's big shoes to fill. I mean, there were people that were like devastated. Oh my God, you let go of Kevin Zeitler. And I'm like, the man's 35 years old, making $9 million. Football teams don't typically do that. So you go younger at the offensive line position. He'll fill the need. It's a great point to have young breakout players that are going to do some things. And that's just rewarding to look at for a player. And look, he was given the opportunity in the playoff game. He did okay. And I think that there's a great opportunity for this player to showcase what he's about now in 2025. Absolutely. I think he'll be a great breakout player as well to really help this football team in 2025, going younger at the offensive line position.
I love it. I'm pumped up about it. I'm switching here for you, Doc. I'm switching off the Lions here because tomorrow the Detroit Tigers kick off their season, and I'll just say this: Tigers fans right now are not happy with the organization. 48 hours, 24 hours before the season starts. I want to get your thoughts on all of this because it's been a hot topic in Detroit. I know you're in Orlando. I don't know how out of touch you are over there right now, Doc, with current day here in Detroit. They're removing the keyhole from the infield, and they changed the Tiger sign. I don't know if you saw that as well to the Comerica Park sign. What are your thoughts on all of this? Because fans are up in arms, and I have a take on it that later in the show I'm going to throw out there. About Chris Ilitch and this whole thing. And I just want to get your thoughts on this whole situation.
Yeah, first and foremost, no matter where I am in the world, no matter how many Modelo's or free drinks,
know about that.
No matter where I am in the world, I am as dialed in as anybody in Detroit sports. I love it. I'm sitting by the water, just checking out what people are saying. And here's a funny story, okay? It humbles you. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through the story quickly so I don't,
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't want to call anybody out, but it was funny. So the Tigers had their taste test thing today, right?
Yeah,
so
saw that.
I was invited, but here's how they invited me. They sent me the email Monday afternoon, and the Tigers people have been always fair with me. They're like, Doc, sorry, we forgot to invite you. Can you still come on Wednesday? And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to be on vacation. I can't come, but can you still invite me? But can you do it a little bit earlier so that I can send somebody else next time? And they're like, yeah, sorry. So it's humbling that I was the afterthought invite to come to the thing.
They were thinking about you. They were like, oh no, the Doc.
That's how I'm going to see. That's how a healthy person would think about it. But someone like me, an egomaniac's like, how do you forget the DOC? How do you forget Detroit Sports Podcast Network? You don't tell someone that. You don't put that in the email. You don't say, oh, we forgot to invite you. I saw that I'm like, oh, okay. That's never going to be a great intro to any email. But I was like, that's fine. No worry about it. But yeah, no, I'm locked in. I read nonstop. I'm a sports addict. I love everything about Detroit sports. Yeah, Chris Ilitch, man of the people, right? Takes down the sign for a classic Tiger sign to put up some stupid Comerica sign. And it's just further recognizing the divide between the common man and the corporate individuals running teams. I mean, Comerica was special. It had, it has a special meaning to a lot of people based on their time there, but it had some unique stuff. The keyhole there. You had I like the bigger fence because it helped the pitchers, but it's just trying to kind of get more up to speed with the others. And now, to me, look, I'll say this. I looked into the price of those home plate seats. I thought it was going to be on a per game basis. Then realized I would not pay for 5 games, 10 games. Once, fine, you do it, you splurge. But, you're just causing a divide. I like those. I like the tunnel. I like the seats behind home plate. This thing that they're doing is ridiculous. You can see why it's not sold out. I mean, the common fan is not going to ever sit in those seats, and you're just trying to do what? In the end, it's all about timing. And you get to the postseason once, and then you don't bring home the big name bat, and then you raise the prices you knock out a whole section to raise the prices for the common fan, and you displace people that have been sitting in those seats for a long time. It's greed. It's not fan friendly. I don't like it. So I'm not a fan of how Chris Ilitch handles a lot of things with the Wings and the Tigers. I think they do some things that are anti-fan and anti-making the Comerica the best experience possible. I mean, they just put in, you had to have great fans and great podcasters go to Comerica and take pictures of rickety old televisions before they upgraded them. Come on. And you've made it the experience where parking's expensive. The average fan doesn't care about sirloin steak at the game. They just want some good $15 tickets, affordable beer. And hey, once in a while, I'm going to say this, all right? The doc has access to go there for free, all right? But I'm a man of the people too. I'll go buy a seat, I'll go sit in the stands even though I got a press pass. The Comerica Park has sold me more than their fair share of stale peanuts. And I never say anything, but I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, you're charging me $10 for peanuts. The least you could do is make them fresh, So you got to kind of treat your fans a little bit better than what they've done. And sometimes they take advantage of that. And you recognize, hey, there's still some great things about Comerica. I would go there quite a bit because I'm a fan of sports. But I don't like the average fan being taken advantage of. I don't like making changes. I don't care if the players don't want it. I thought that was special to have that keyhole there, the last stadium in the Major League Baseball to have it. And then people are bitching, bring the fences in. I like the scoreboard, but I'm not a fan. Not a fan of changing the sign to Comerica. I think it's stupid.
Doc, I never really got to ask you, by the way, because, and this is a big fumble by me, because we've had you on for almost 45 minutes. Avante Maddox, what do you make of the signing there? Get your thoughts on it. Former Eagle from Detroit, very solid player. It seems like Brad, overall, this corner room is upgraded. I mean, we could safely say, I guess Carlton to DJ, whatever you want to think, but as a whole, it's upgraded. What'd you think of Avante coming to Detroit, coming back home?
Yeah, good for the room. I think that he got a reputation of working with the young cornerbacks with Philadelphia. Look, he's going to be a depth piece, third, fourth cornerback, competing with Ennis Rakestraw. So it's a B minus signing. He's not going to have a lot of impact on the field, but I think a reasonable individual that can, I think, be a nice role player. You can never have enough depth at corner as well. So also too, there's a lot of value, I think, in stealing some information from the Eagles, learning, hey, what did they do to make, Cooper DeJean awesome? What did they make to make Quinyon Mitchell awesome? Those are great tidbits that Terry Arnold and DJ Reed and Avante Maddox can, and Amik Robertson and Ennis Rakestraw can all learn together and grow that room. So I think it's a great, solid depth signing and one that can pay off a lot of ways. No doubt.
Doc, I'm gonna throw a couple of these out here real quick for you. Some of these questions. Our guy Caleb asked you this.
Joe.
What do you think about Joe, AL Rookie of the Year, plus 750? I will say, too, I'll throw it out there. I think Riley Green's line is 20.5, 21.5. I took it. Caleb said, Booner, you should take this. I'm on it for the year.
Nice. Okay, here we go. Now, as we always say, we preface it. Please gamble responsibly. This is for entertainment purposes only. Mr. Caleb, the fine broadcaster on Saturdays, I always check in, has a question about gambling. So please take this with a grain of salt. Please don't gamble more than your means. But I would say this. I would, if you're prone to love value bets, I would sprinkle a little bit on, I would spread 1 unit on Joe for AL Rookie of the Year, but I would go heavy. All right. Doc's play of the day on Wednesday is over. Spread 3-4 units on over 83.5 games for the Tigers. I think they're over the win total. I think people are underplaying the offense, what they can accomplish. I think AJ Hinch is going to develop a lot of the pitchers. I think people are a little bit anxious that they didn't add the big bat. But sprinkle 3-4 units on the over 83.5, and you'll thank the doc in when's the season over? In October. So remember, 3-4 units on the over, and you'll thank the doc. That's the doc's tip of the day.
Oh my He said the Doc snip. Well, Doc, we appreciate you as always. You know what? Enjoy your vacation. Although we appreciate you just always talking ball and wanting to support the fellas and always giving you here every single week. You deserve a vacation. One of the hardest working dudes in the industry. So enjoy yourselves. Have fun. Let loose. Because when you get back here, you're gonna miss the weather. But we appreciate you, Doc, as always.
No worries. And remember, just the tip. Gamble responsibly. Have a good time. Be fair. And I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. Deuces.
Wow, what an exit.
Appreciate you, Doc. Enjoy Orlando. Let's go, the Doc, man.
What did he say at the end there? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
What did he say?
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.